Hello, everyone. Welcome to a very hot and muggy Southern California September evening. And I guess our first show of the fall, maybe our favorite time of the year. This is Zach. We've got quite a panel on tonight. It's almost like Hollywood Squares. We've got Vic on, we've got Mig, we've got Jace. A couple quick announcements while people are still filing in. This Sunday, we've got our Send It Big Bear in Big Bear. We're not too original with our titles, but different course, a little bit more single track than last year, I believe. So a little fun one. Jace is also leading a ride with Thank Gravel It's Friday on Saturday out of Ventura. So you can catch him there. And if you have any follow-up questions. But tonight we'll be talking about the Megahopper. This, I believe, is Mig's first run in putting this together, although I guess Ted King did this informally. But we'll just bring everybody in and we'll just explain it there. So, hello, everyone, and good evening.
Hello, Zachary.
How you doing, Zach? Good to see you.
Good. Now, I think Vic is the one most interested in this event because he's trying to form his strategy on how he's going to pull this off. Where are you going, Vic?
Is there another Vic in here?
Oh, sorry. Well, no. Another reason so this is we've seen rides like these multi-day self-supported rides. We brought Jace on because he just finished Badlands, and I believe is in the running for doing this and is a good resource. And first of all, Mig, tell us what brought this together.
Well, let's start first. Be careful; it's not an event that I'm putting together. This is a free self-supported event. This is a route that I put together during COVID as an April Fool's joke, but knowing that people, of course, would do it because it's incredibly cool and it's a doable amount. Like, it's really hard, but it's feasible. So folks, the information's on our webpage, but it's on Strava, and people are request that we sign up and that you use the tracking system so that people can follow them. But so it's a route created by me, but it's definitely not a Grasshopper production. The idea, the way this iteration of it different than Ted's, is that we have a grand depart. So I was hoping that folks would rally around and do this once a year at a certain time, and that really hasn't happened. So I thought it would take putting a date on the calendar to motivate people to, but okay, we're going to officially do it. So that's kind of what it's looking like. In terms of how it started, I'm always thinking about routes and rides, and primarily around in Northern California where I live and know. This was, during COVID, I was immersed deep into a building project at home and didn't ride for like a month. I said, I need a break. And so while up on the roof, I decided I'd ride 7 Grasshoppers in 7 days, and got some friends to do that. And that was a lot of fun. And then as I did that, I was thinking, well, what's the biggest one we could loop together? And I think we have close to 30 routes between San Francisco and let's say Cloverdale of the Grasshoppers. And so I was thinking, what's the longest route we could do to incorporate the most that wouldn't be doing silly back to repeat it just to say it was part of one, and that's 9. So I created a route that has that makes up 9 of our different courses. And in our link tree, people can see also what are those classic Grasshopper loops. So I know that we've been around long enough. You could tell I got a couple of gray hairs now, that a lot of folks don't know about the classic iterations of the courses that we used to run for a couple decades. So Chileno Valley, Bear Valley, Skaggs, ones that we don't do anymore. So that's kind of how we've gotten to be where we are today.
I liked that it was an April Fool's joke. And now it's a reality.
And of course, I posted April 2nd, so people are like, "Is it April 2nd?" Or like, I just missed. I just missed it by a day. I don't know.
Well, I've been seeing on Instagram the post with Zach Morvant that about very helpful tips, and he also did Badlands with Jace, and this was Jace's first. What do you call this thing? Double ultra.
Ultra? I don't know.
Multi-day event, I guess, is maybe the best way of saying it. But now that you've done one, have you looked at the course closely yet, Jace? Because we're going to ask Mig some questions along the way. I'm going to pull out a map.
Yeah, I actually, when we started talking about it, I believe, Mig, you actually ran into a friend of mine, I think, and I believe you guys spoke about the Megahopper. My friend who also did Badlands, Chris Melman, I think it got mentioned that there'd be a Megahopper. I'm not sure if it was like a larger conversation, but he had mentioned it to me, so I kind of started searching around, didn't find anything, and then I was talking with Zach and Vic about it, and it just sounded like really interesting. I know a lot of people who live in the San Francisco area that I used to ride with, they do some of your events, and I kind of see the Strava posts, and they always talk about how much fun they had. And then I've listened to the Paceline podcast for a long time, and they have talked about the Grasshopper series and how cool it is. So it piqued my interest just off of the name, and then I've wanted to do something really long for a while. I've just been scared to go over like 200 miles. And I signed up for Badlands, ended up getting in. And then once I did that, I really was just like, I want to do another one really bad, because I think there were some things that I could do better or more efficiently. So after the recovery, we were talking, and I was like, yeah, I think I would do it. It sounds like a really good time. It's a beautiful area. I've seen some of the parts of the route that you have it going through, so I know it's some good land up there. But yeah, I mean, I've looked at the route. It looks like a lot of climbs. So I know that it's a good amount of paved, but I still think that it's going to present its own challenges, even though it's not primarily on trail.
Yeah, for sure. And I actually reached out to Zach thinking we should do a chat, because I saw his Patreon little posts, and he was I think he was oversimplifying it and a little overconfident. So I wanted to make sure to encourage him not to really do this. I mean, I'm not doing it. I don't know if I recommend doing it in 4 days and staying in nice hotels. Like for me, 4 100-mile days with a hot shower and a good meal is the perfect challenge right now. So that's the other thing of this event. There is a team category, which people haven't signed up for, but it's also something that people could backpack in 4, 5, 6 days. I like that what it is can appeal to somebody who's going for an FKT as an ultra, and like Zach, sub 48 hours, you don't have to sleep. I mean, I'd like to sleep 3 times in that distance. So it, depending on where people are coming from with this, I think it offers either an incredible challenge, because as Zach pointed out as well, the ride with GPS is very low. I think Strava is more accurate. So I think 416 miles and 46,000 feet of climbing is probably pretty close to that. And I think if it were close to towns and cities and civilization, it might scare the shit out of people. Like if you drop this in the Pyrenees or in Alberta or in the mountains somewhere, like it would feel different. So I want people to really be cognizant of like the challenge it is. And I'm hoping that people are doing their homework and also plans with, okay, well, what's my bailout? Who's my Uber driver? Like, how do I, for these types of things. But Zach, what do you want to know about the course, buddy? Because I know you're diving into there and you're like a little bit of this and that and this trail and this dirt. I did put I added some POIs. I added where the dirt sections are so people know. I added where water is, and the water places are ones that are just like public water all the time. I don't want to I'm not going to show all the bakeries and bagel shops and where to get your whiskey sour and all that. I mean, people can do that homework and stuff on that or share their intel. But those spots that I dropped are ones that you can you can find, that you may not think of that are just off of the course. I know when you're in a new place, you can go right by really cool water stops, and that kind of sucks. The one piece that people really need to think about is when you get to Lake Sonoma, you're really going to want to start that course because there's a water stop at what used to be a Boy Scout camp. I don't know the mileage, and we can look at it. But if you fill up there and it's hot, you're going to be out by the time you get to the Lake Sonoma single track. That climb out of Gualala is significant. So unless somebody's carrying multiple liters on their, I think you could do this without carrying more than like 3 bottles in a hydration pack. I don't think you have to go overboard on the water on this. And so if people are strategic about that and filter water at that creek crossing, I think other than that, people can get by with a small filtration and 3 bottles and a hydration pack, like for backup.
Okay, that part kind of worries me a little bit, because I've been trying to like map where I would get water, and well, let me first bring to stage just so you have a starting point. So 400, the latest one says 417 miles, 41,000 feet, and then scrolling down a little bit where it says it's 56 miles of dirt. Which I know, Jace, when you did Badlands, that was like 280 miles of dirt.
Yeah.
So I find road being easier, especially if you're at night and you are having trouble seeing and your body's a little bit worn down. Like, I think that's one thing that got me a little encouraged, but I'm just going to bring up the map, and maybe I'll start leading and just jump in at any time here. And let me also, I'm going to slap in the profile at the bottom too. So, and it's funny because when you look at the profile of this, like, the highest point is like 2,500 feet, and yet you have a crap ton of climbing within this distance. So I know the ride starts out here Occidental, and then goes down a little bit of climbing, but it goes down Coleman Valley Road, and it's a lot of pavement, and it seems like the first almost 50 miles here in the road should be relatively fast.
Yeah, it's not complicated. The first start is, it's pavement all the way to the climb on Mount Vision. It's beautiful. You roll along the whole length of Tomales Bay, which has to be one of the most beautiful roads in the world. In the fall, it should just be a beautiful temperature and not much wind or wind to your back, and it should be pretty easy sailing up until that spot. There is, you could top off in water. When you look at the map, in the town of Tomales, there's a park there. So you could start with 2 bottles. You could top off with your water in the park in Tomales. Then when you get to Point Reyes, I would stop at the Bovine Bakery. There's a really great bakery there, and get a couple pastries and, get water or get a Coke there in the town of Point Reyes. And that should be enough then to get you all the way up, Mount Vision on the first climb, and then into Olima. Now that climb, so that spot that you're looking at right now, so you're looking at the Mount Vision climb. Yeah. And that's a fantastic one. That's one of my favorite areas, my favorite gravel climbs. So this section, by the way, Zach in partnership with Bicycle Law, is putting together some videos. So he and I are going to ride this section, that figure 8 that you're looking at right there, which includes the dirt up Mount Vision, down Mount Vision, the whole 5 Brooks, up Bowfax and on the Bowfax dirt. And so we're going to do some recon, and we'll have some content to show people what it looks like. The climb up Vision is decompressed granite. It's a unique area, and that's actually part of the Sierra Nevadas, the fault line of the San Andreas Fault. There was a big shake when I was a kid there, but that there's a reason that bay is there is because it's just a zipper, it just split open, and so there's this forest that's like dwarf and pygmy firs and cypress and huckleberries, and it's granite, like you would see in the Sierras, which is different than anywhere else out there. So we'll do some intel and recon on that. When you're on the top of that and you descend down, there's some proper rugged single track before you get back onto the pavement again. So when you get to the top of Mount Vision, let's see where can you find Mount Vision there, Zach?
This is right here.
Yeah. So when you get to the top of that, that's right. Yeah. So you summit on the dirt, and then you roll a little bit on the pavement. You have these massive views of Drake's Bay. Hopefully there'll be views. Ironically, that when Sir Francis Drake landed there, in the week or 2 weeks that they were there with his men and his ships, they from what I understand is they never got a view of the area in 2 weeks, and they left without even really knowing what was there. It was so fogged in the whole time. It wasn't until later expeditions, but it got the name after him, Drake's Bay. Then the next dirt section. So to give you an idea, like if I went out there and did this loop, I would bring my mountain bike. Like I wouldn't bring a gravel bike to do this ride. Like you can do it on a gravel bike, but the fun factor is not there. It's super shreddy on a cross country full suspension mountain bike. So keep that in mind in this whole loop right there. So that includes the climb because of the gearing. That includes the single track on the ridge. And then you get into Alima. If you zoom in kind of where there's like that X down there going south. Yeah, that X right there. See where the course crosses itself. So that's Alima. There's a really nice cafe there. You can get some nice baguettes and some food and some water. And then you go about 5 or 6 miles down Highway 1 before you join Five Brooks and take that trail all the way down to Dogtown. That one's great on a gravel bike. It's a little bit technical with some routes. It's really fast on a mountain bike, but that's totally fine on a gravel bike. And then when you climb up Bolinas Ridge, you climb the pavement. So just before you get to the town of Bolinas, you go up that ridge. Amazing paved, beautiful, beautiful climb. And then you get on that ridge and you get on what's Bowfax Ridge heading south. And then Zach, you've spoken to people about when you did your ride. So just a little history on this. So we did about 5 years of a Grasshopper where we did this figure eight. And this is back when we were all on cross bikes. There weren't gravel bikes. So I thought, okay, fine. Finally found a course that's a cross bike. And we did this once. Nobody came back with their cross bikes. Everyone came back with their mountain bikes because this section of ridge, it's not really like you showed in your video, Zach, some kind of stuff through the fields where it's kind of from the cows and stuff, but it's really the upper part. It's super rocky and huge, like root steps because you're in the big redwoods, and it's at high speed. So it's fast, it's slippery. There's some big step offs. It's definitely a spot where making a mistake could have some big consequences for crashing or flatting. You don't want to deal with a flat this early on. I would recommend, if I was riding it, I don't think I would tire up too much for this. I think I would ride like a 47 for the whole thing with a slick in the middle. So it kind of rolls like a road tire, but you've got the volume and you've got some traction. And then I would just be careful on this section of road, especially for people who don't know it. If you know it, there's some lines where you can send it, but I would be really careful, on this section.
Well, I'm glad that this is a part where you would do in sunlight, and
yeah,
this is because I just remember all the ruts that the cows created, and when we were going to do that send it, but didn't, Marin watershed, people that interfered, but all the gravel people wanted to go up, all the mountain bike people wanted to go down it. So,
yeah, that makes sense.
So, yeah, and I totally see why. But You know,
Yeah, and it's a great ride. It's also an example where if I just went there, I told you I'd do a mountain bike ride. But if I started in Fairfax and I want to do a 70-mile ride with like half dirt and half pavement, then yeah, you're like, it's the right bike for what we're doing. And so yeah, you just kind of do your best on that course. And like you mentioned, it's in the daylight, so that's great news. And then you get back down to Lima, you reverse and you go up the bay a little bit into Marshall. And then you have some of the best road riding, I think, in California, which is northern Marin, southern Mendocino, southern Sonoma County. A lot of that area, it's protected from development by the Marin Agricultural Land Trust. So there's lots of dairies and open space. And for almost the entirety of this course, the roads are quiet and not heavily traveled. There aren't any sections where you're just like, stuck on one, from Santa Monica to Malibu or something. You don't have to suck it up on any sections like that. It's remote. And the roads, like Ted King said, and talking to him and his thing, it's like, with the pavement we have in Sonoma County, we don't need gravel. So you're going to be on plenty of pavement where you're going to be glad you're on a gravel bike. It's not like, oh, I'm on pavement, I better be on my Cervelo, 30C tire, 14-pound bike. No, you're going to be happy. A lot of my friends actually ride Cruxes with 2 sets of wheels. They put road tires on with like 34s or 38s. That's their road bike. And then they put tires on for gravel, because inevitably you get on some roads that you're like, they've been dropping a cow patty splot of pavement, letting it get hard, and another year later they've got another one. So it's like cobbles.
so it looks like it's like pretty much once you've done Bolinas Ridge, it's like 70 miles of road back to Occidental, where I thought my strategy would be I would get a room right before the ride. I would just keep all my stuff in there and then spend the first night in the same hotel room. That way I'm not carrying as many things. Is that okay, legal?
Well, it depends. It depends on how you look at it. So technically, for the rules of ultra, not exactly, but I don't think you're going for the win. So I wouldn't worry about it. The something that we haven't put out to riders yet, but we're going to, what will be permissible, because everybody can do it, is that you're going to have a vehicle there in Occidental. So if someone goes back to their own vehicle and takes a nap and refuels from their own vehicle, we're going to allow that. That's from everybody. Or if you drive together and you have your buddy's car, you can have a resupply at that spot, because it crosses there. It would be silly to not allow that. And it would also give people a chance to, take a short nap. Ted, that's the one place Ted slept. He got a hotel like you, Zach, and just slept in there. So we're not doing this to be super rigid and sticklers. We are going to ask if there are people that are going to want their name someplace like these are the times, then yeah, they're going to have to, go by the rules that are stated on the web page for that. But I think that's a great idea for you.
Thank you.
No, seriously, not just for you, for a lot of people.
Yeah.
How many miles is it back to Occidental? I'm thinking about riding Oxy to Oxy. Is it like 140?
Yeah, 140. Yeah.
140. Yeah,
So,
that's twice as long as my longest ride this summer, so that should be okay.
okay. Now, then for me, this would be day 2. Willow Creek, right?
Do we go down Willow Creek? Oh yeah, and then I noticed I did divert you up that little hill, huh? You
Is
mentioned
that
that
on purpose, this area here?
I'm trying to, it must have been. I mean, honestly, I made this sitting on a bed in Costa Rica. I escaped during COVID, and I was looking at the beach, and I was just like, "Oh, this really fucked with them." But we did use that one time. It's part of the route. I thought I made a mistake. Sometimes when you click and then it misses and goes up. But yeah, that is the route. So just when you're almost down to the bottom, it adds like a 800-foot climb, just for shits and giggles. But it gives you a nice view if it's daylight. If it's not, then sorry. But yeah, that's for reals.
But is that now? I know like Willow Glen here, Fire Road, pretty good shape. Although you might have to dodge some down trees here and there.
Willow Creek's amazing. Willow Creek's in fantastic. Well, there's a couple ruts since it became part. Well, let's just say there's some ruts in the road that are significant. So there's some spots where, anytime someone's on a dirt road, you have to anticipate that there's going to be washouts. There's going to be trees down. There can be ruts that are going parallel. You can't make any assumptions that everything's cleared or worked. There's no caution signs. Again, this is no Grasshopper. There's no wrong ways. There's no caution signs. So I can't attest. The diversion up, which is into the state park and then back down, that road's in good shape. It's called Upper Barn. Then you descend down to Lower Barn. That's lovely. It's a lovely trail.
Okay. Well, then. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I just say when you look at those profiles, like I would like, I mean, what you guys are probably is you're going to zoom in and stretch it out because when it looks like that means nothing to me. You know what I mean? If you look at something like that until you look at 20 miles of it and you really stretch it out, because there's so many rollers. I think you're going to want to pay attention to what are the significant climbs and maybe have those on your top tube so you're not just staring at your device like, whatever the 8 big climbs are. It might be beneficial to know when those are coming because otherwise you're up and down all the time.
Well, I know the Bowfax climb is pretty steady. Not, that's probably the longest climb on day one, but I don't think or for me would be day one is not
there's really no notable, like nothing that you would. Mount Vision, I would say, would be your hardest climb, the dirt one, just because of the steepness. Bolinas Ridge is probably similar, but it's very gradual and it's all paved. Like Vision is the only one with a couple of spots you're going to be digging deep, like just to clean it and to get up it on your bike and not walk, or maybe you'll want to stop so you don't dig deep. But again, the course is deceptive in that it's really the second half of it that has the real big climbs.
Well, so this is kind of like the area where your strategy and being able to get water is kind of like a big factor because I know you head down, you cross the Russian River, you follow it. We do this little the little dirt bypass to go up, which that's okay. That's not problem.
You know what? I can't remember though. I forgot to look at the direction. You would know. Look, I can't. Do we do Old Kaz now or later? I thought we did Old Kaz on the way back. Does the course now go out Cazadero Highway to King Ridge, or does it do Old Kaz?
It goes Old Kaz. Yeah.
It does.
Yeah, it goes Old Kaz, and then that's about like 3-4 miles of dirt here, but not technical. Then we've got the climb paved, but it's 10% for a little bit, and then the wonderful descent into Old Kaz. But really, the biggest issue here is how much will the creek be full of water?
Oh, I rode across it the last week. Like it's like 6 inches. It's fine. But the water, you mentioned the water, Zach. So you have water in Occidental at the community center, which it's on. You can reshare the Strava link with folks that are watching this. Then there's water in Duncan's Mills you pass through. And there's a really great cafe, Gold Coast Coffee. They've got great pastries. In Monterey, there's a water stop, which is like 8 miles from there. And then in the town of Cazadero, there's a general store. And then there's also, I put on the map, there's a public water at a tennis courts. So that's just like a quarter mile back, down off the course. Like you're looking at those tennis courts right now down at the bottom. There's water there. But from here is where you need to plan. So very easily you could ride with 3 bottles and get from Cazadero to the water feed that's out on Skaggs. So, again, up until this point and through Skaggs, I don't know how many miles it is. I guess from the Cazadero to Skaggs, it's probably maybe 40 miles.
No, I think it's
Less.
from Cazadero. It is
Not to Skaggs, but to the actual place where you can get water, because you get the tin barn at Kashaya.
if it's just when you turn to Skaggs, it's like 22 miles. But
To the intersection at Skaggs, but then you descend and then you drop down. So it's really not that far, but it depends on the heat. I'd want to have 3 bottles just in case, but it's probably 2 bottles to get to that camp. It used to be owned by the Boy Scouts. Now the Mormon Church purchased it, but they have a developed water spot just for cyclists across the street from there. You could fill up from there, but basically there's no water from there until the visitor center at Lake Sonoma. So there's one of the biggest climbs is out of the Gualala River there heading east. And then you won't have anything until you get to the visitor center at Lake Sonoma. That's where I would recommend, so you don't have to carry it. I would recommend filtering at that creek. There should be some water there, not a lot. We'll confirm that. We're going to do a pre-ride on October 10th. And Zach will be creating some content on that, but it'd be hard to believe that there's no water at all. So, yeah, you're getting in there. Can you see where the road hits the lake, the trail? Can you zoom into that part?
Lake Sonoma?
Yeah.
Yeah. Over here. Okay.
Yeah, and so if you go east a little bit, you see how the road goes down. So this used to be Skaggs, and then in the late 60s, the Army Corps built the dam, and so the road just disappears. It got swallowed by the lake, and then they built this trail that goes around it. So this is the South Lake Trail, which is really rugged and steep, and that's certainly something where people need to be prepared for water and food and plan ahead if they're going to be. You're certainly not going to ride it at night. I mean, you'll ride pieces of it. It'd be a great place to take a rest. I mean, if you have good lights, you can ride some of it, but I just rode, I saw Amity Rockwell a couple weeks ago. She did our event, and I think she said she was more cooked after this Super Skaggs than any event she'd ever done. Like, I was filming her at the end, and I put my camera away. I just felt so bad. I felt bad. She was so cracked. This, obviously, you're not doing it at race pace. This will be harder than anyone can anticipate. I mean, Ted King was talking about that as well. So it's a mountain bike or horse trail, basically. So, I mean, but you guys do all that crazy shit in the mountains in LA. Like, I know you've showed me some of that, and I see the LA tourist stuff. It's kind of like something that's being thrown into one of those events. Think about those 10 miles as something where you're just going to do your best, and it takes so much energy to try and clean some of this stuff that you're going to be better off. Okay, roll into it and walk and roll and really hydrate. You're going to want to exit this part not a mess. That would be my suggestion.
Yeah, I mean, like, on one end, you're a little bit past the halfway point here, but this is like, like this would probably is the toughest segment, right? And kind of after here, not that the rest is easy, but I just think this is the Lake Sonoma section is just levels above like anything that puts you in the sunlight red zone of burning energy. Does that sound?
Yeah, kind of. But this is when I saw you talking about this is when I was like, hey, we need to talk, because I wouldn't think about it that way. I would celebrate getting out of Lake Sonoma, and when you get down to the visitor center, they have really nice grass and water, and I would just lay in the grass and drink and just take a little break. And then restart on the second half. Don't fool yourself into thinking that the easiest part, because really the biggest climbs are coming when you have the geysers and you've got Ida Clayton and you've got Eaton Grade and you've got Spring Mountain, and then later you've got Sweetwater and you've got Fort Ross. It's the second half is harder than the first half. I'll just say that, with the exception of Lake Sonoma. So maybe you do half. Maybe in your mind you've got half the course. You've got Lake Sonoma. It's its own experience, and then you've got the second half, which is the harder one. I'm going to be talking to Larissa Connors next week on a podcast, and we'll have that out. She's signed up for this. I don't know if you guys know Larissa, but she hails from SoCal. She's the two-time winner of Leadville, two-time winner of BWR. And we were talking about Spring Mountain, which is the climb out of St. Helena. And she said that's one of the only climbs ever she's actually stopped on. And she said people are going to be walking bikes up that pavement. So it's a monster. It's an absolute monster of a climb. I don't know how else to describe it. And now it's burned. So if you're in the daytime, it's full sun exposure. I mean, you could pull the numbers from that sucker. But that's where, if I was doing this, I would spend the night at a nice hotel in St. Helena and have a good breakfast. And then I would do that climb.
Zach, where are we on the profile? I can't really see the numbers. It's all blurry.
Oh,
Can you put your pointer on that?
1 second. I need to figure out. That would be. See where this little V is here? I don't know if it's showing up.
No, I don't see any pointer.
But
Like right in the middle, is that 225 or 205? There's a dirt section. It's like a little flattish. And then there's two huge peaks after that.
yeah, it's one where there's like a big V,
Yeah.
like back to back.
Yes.
So that's at like mile 325.
Oh.
And then after that, it looks like you give like some flattish lands kind of going through Santa Rosa back to the Russian River, and then the Fort Ross climb. And yeah, I think the Fort Ross climb is definitely tougher than King Ridge.
It looks straight up.
Well, I mean, like, for me, when I did King Ridge and Fort Ross Road, like, I didn't have great gearing on my bikes. So, I probably had a 1-to-1 ratio in the back at best. So I'm just envisioning myself like being able to spin a little bit more to do that. And then, my plan was to make it like in night 2. I forgot the name, but after this one climb here, there's a casino, which I figured would be a great place to stop into because we open up all night, can check in at any time probably.
I don't think it goes by the casino. You were mentioning that, but that's
I think
that's
it's
over by Geyserville. That's a pretty big detour to get to the casino.
No.
You talking about after you do the geysers, backtracking to the casino?
No. It's right here in the map. It's about like mile 290. It's
in Middletown, that casino. Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, that's off my yeah. Okay, I know what you mean. Yeah.
But like I was good. That's why like I wasn't going to make reservations because I was thinking like if I really get killed, then Cloverdale right after Lake Sonoma would be a good place to stop. Spring Mountain.
Yeah, it depends how you recover because, I mean, the geysers climb, I was trying to look at my maps while you're doing that. So I could probably throw out some numbers. So the geysers, maybe this is something you could put together, get Zach too, as you're studying it for folks, is like the names, the climbs, and then the elevations and the distances. That's really not something that I've gone onto. Again, this is not really an event for us, but people that are doing their homework, maybe someone's already created a cheat sheet because the geysers, let's see the geysers start at mile 240 or something. Is that right?
Is that right after Cloverdale?
Yeah. So you climb from 300 feet to 2,500 feet over 13 miles. And then you drop and you descend all that. And then Ida Clayton is 364 to 2,400. So 2,000 feet over like 5 miles. Then you've got, a couple there.
Yeah, here, like at mile 280, you've got a 3.3 mile climb that's 9.3%. So definitely.
Yeah, but you can see this. Yeah, you see the second half. You've got, whereas it all adds up mostly little by little in the first half, the second half has a couple of those big climbs, which, it just is what it is. And it's not a deal breaker. It's good to have that intel. And I guess my point is just, as for you doing this, for both of you guys, is that to not like oversimplify that once you get to Lake Sonoma, because those climbs are significant. I was asking Ted about it on the interview with him, and he's like, he doesn't even remember. He's like, I don't even remember from Ida Clayton, Middletown, over back to Santa Rosa. I was asking, trying to remember the climbs.
Back out his mind is like, because it's like labor birth, like giving birth or something. Like
maybe, I don't know. I'll have to ask. Folks who do the ultras like afterwards. Like I don't.
Jace, you want to chime in?
Yeah, I'm waiting to hear Jason's thoughts.
Multiple days, it just starts blurring. Like I had a really good idea of what I was approaching. Like I had cues on my computer, and you know what's coming up, but once you pass it, it legitimately just goes so far into the rear view, because once you hit another climb and another climb and another climb, you kind of forget the agony of whatever you went through, or you kind of can't decide what day you did something on. Like I found myself when I was starting the third morning, I hadn't slept, and I was just kind of like, all right, when did I hit that coast? And when was that climb? And it's hard to remember all the different climbs that you do, because you think like, oh, I'll remember that one. That one was huge. That took me a long time. It was really exposed. And then you'll run into another one like very similar to that. So you just kind of blank that last one out, and you don't remember which day or what mile you did it at until you look back on your file. So, I mean, this looks like, I think I said it earlier, like death by 1,000 cuts. So it's just, it looks like the second part is well over 1-to-1 ratio, or pretty decently over 1-to-1 ratio. Like you said, it looks like it gains a lot in the second half. But I mean, yeah, it's hard to recall it and kind of give a good idea of what you went through, because everyone's timing is going to be so different too. People are going to really do like the bike packing pace, and then you're going to have people who are trying to go hard. And I mean, I'm sure some people will go pretty good and do it pretty fast, but I mean, people are going to be riding at all hours of the day for sure.
Yeah, and it's especially important on Lake Sonoma, because that's, it's a straight hillside with a bench cut, and it drops hundreds of feet down to a lake. So if you miss a turn, like you tumble hundreds of feet down into the lake. It's like, so Vic and Zach, it's like, what's the trail that I make you guys go back to that I love so much, that's with all the cactus and there's no cactus, but it's that same thing. Hillside Trail, Strawberry Peak. Is that what it was?
Yes.
It's like that. It's like riding your gravel bike on that at night, where it comes down and there's this. I mean, there aren't cactuses, but you would fall a very, very long ways. At least the cactuses would stop you, because they would like stick into you.
It's like a little anchor.
nice glass half full. Thank you.
Yeah, but I mean, that's also something to consider with the fatigue. I mean, depending on how far into the ride you are, it may be. I mean, it'll save your entire ride if you just stop and take a breather and stop and take that break and maybe hit it in the light, or whatever you got to do.
That's why it's likely, depending on how someone's feeling at the time of day, that could be 3 to 4 hours to go 10 miles. Like I could imagine some people walking almost the whole thing, honestly.
I'm sorry if you already said it, but what's the time cutoff for this? Is there a cutoff?
No.
No. Okay.
Whenever you get in.
All right, whenever you come back, because yours had a time cutoff, right, Jace? Was it 5 days or?
Yeah, it was 5 days. I mean, most people, I mean, there were people coming in on the 5th day, but the whole idea, and it's kind of like what he's doing, it's like the whole idea is they wanted you to finish, so they're not going to go out there and pull people, but they just, they wanted you to check in if you were going to go over that 5 days, because they needed to make sure everything was okay, even though the tracker would maybe be moving. You needed to kind of let someone know, like, hey, I'm still out here, but I'm going to finish.
Got it.
So.
Yeah, and that's something we'll have to do when because we've had 33 people said they're doing, and 10 people have signed up with the tracker. I think it's going to get smaller. I think we're just going to get a handful of folks, and then of those, that we can, let people can let us know, hey, I bailed and I got picked up, or that we're doing something longer, just to keep an eye on folks. And later part in the day, again, you're after Lake Sonoma, you're in Cloverdale, and then you're in Middletown, and then you're in St. Helena, and then you're in Santa Rosa, and then you're in Guerneville, and then you're in Jenner, and then you're in Occidental. Like, there's a lot of towns to pull into a gas station and cuddle up in a fetal position and call your mama or whoever you need to call to pick you up.
The thoughts definitely cross your mind on a ride like this. That's for sure.
That's kind of what's torture about this event as well. You're so close to all of those things. So I'm excited to hear the stories from people, and to and to follow along in the successes and triumphs and failures. So.
Okay. Well, this definitely seems daunting. Jace, how long? I already forgot, but did it take you 2.5 days to do Badlands?
It was like 69 hours.
69. Okay.
Yeah.
Almost 3 complete days.
Yeah, my goal was under 72, so I just scratched in right below it.
That's awesome. Wow.
Yeah. I had a broken spoke at like mile 220 that I had to nurse because my wheel was almost rubbing my frame on the chain stays. So the descents were a little bit more fragile, trying to save my wheel. But I also stopped a little bit longer than I should have on some of them because I've never done anything like it. So I was trying to make sure I can get across that line at the end. So, but yeah, I mean, I was very, very happy with that time. I mean, it's still pretty quick in my eyes for myself,
I told you I've never been so excited to watch a dot on a microphone.
It's just something so slow moving, but
I was riveted.
I was gonna say, like, anyone watching, like, even if you're not going to be extremely competitive or whatever, which I don't even know if I'm going to be, but like, it is kind of fun to have the tracker. It's worth the $86 or whatever it is to just kind of let friends and family see what you're doing. And I mean, I got a lot of random text messages from people I had no idea would have ever thought to look at it, so it's kind of fun to see. I always watch the track leaders whenever events like this go on, just to kind of see how people are attacking it and what people are capable of. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't really pay attention to any tracking stuff till I was following Solly at the whatever they call the long Unbound
XL.
Unbound XL. Yeah, watching Solly and Chris Cosentino, and once you have friends out there, and either you're cheering them on, or you're like, oh shit, they're hurting, they're still back there. Yeah. You're like,
right. You see someone
2 miles an hour, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah. Well, it's like you see the front pack. Those guys are like, it's like, say like, okay, they're at 280, and then you see some people, it's like 96.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my gosh. But I mean, nowadays XL, it's like they're going the pace that people were doing the 200 at.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing about this whole world is everyone's moving so quickly now. So fast. I mean, at Badlands, the winner finished, I think it was like 37 or 38 hours.
Oh.
And that was 507 miles with 50,000+ feet of climbing.
And I think that person slept an hour and 15 minutes. or stopped.
If he even did.
Like,
yeah, he wasn't stopped for very long.
An hour and something. I'm like,
my friend was very efficient. He got third place, and he did not have much stoppage time. The other guy just rode faster.
Wow.
It's crazy what these guys do. I mean, it's really impressive to watch, though. That's why I like watching the dots. It's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been concerned about. I listened to a podcast about the science of sleep and sleep deprivation, and the studies showing. I know that people don't do it this often, but you don't. The best thing is the circadian rhythms are the same every day, and that people that don't do it for a long time, I'll catch up. That's not really how our bodies work. In fact, they made it illegal to try and set the Guinness Book of World Record of not sleeping, because the persons that did it, it was fine. Like a year later, they suddenly couldn't sleep. Like literally it changed their body. So I think this is a small dosage. We're talking 2 or 3 days, but you got to be careful to that. But I also don't know that people. It'd be interesting to have some real experts, a lot of experience, talk about the difference between not sleeping and sleeping 2 hours twice or something like that. I'd be really curious to know if people have done both on something and then measured how successful they were by taking that rest.
Yeah. I don't remember who it was, but someone was on a podcast that does very well on ultras, and they said it sounds so surprising, but they would lay down and set a 7-minute timer on their phone, and they would almost sleep through it, and they would knock out right away because at a certain point they were so tired. But just those little micro naps that they were taking helped them finish the race. And they were like, it was like a top 5 finish. So they still did very well off of just napping. And it's like, you are giving your body some recovery.
Yeah.
And the brain, that's the important thing, is getting into the different, realms of your brain of shutting that off. That's one of the main reasons for our sleep. It is our body, but it's our conscious brain. And to that point, I'm concerned about Skip, who does the Lake Sonoma 50 trail run, which is incredibly difficult. It has in 50 miles, God, I don't know how many thousands feet, but he's had people with runners out there running the wrong direction. They'll sit down and rest, and they'll get up and they run back the way they were just coming from.
Oh, wow.
So with fatigue, the decisions that people make. So
I believe it. It can make it seem like you're like drunk if you have serious sleep deprivation.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is why we've been again, this is just here's a suggestion if people want to go do this. But we like our people like challenges, and so it's cool to share pieces. And then my hope is that having this route, that people will, hey, I'm going to come and do this segment or this section. It's not like someone has to just do this entire length. So it's a good reason to come up to the Bay Area and do some of our roads.
Yeah, well, it's like you're pretty much establishing a pretty cool bike packing route, like you're saying, 4 or 5 days. People get a little group of people together and go explore, like you're saying. Take that week off of work and go cruise around with some friends and explore a new area.
Yeah, so you could fly in. You could fly into SF and break down your bike, and you could do this route, and you could grab a train from Sacramento over to here. You could fly into SF, into Santa Rosa, and do these routes. And that's what being a mountain biker. But I like what gravel has done and what Zach and Vic do, go into new places and getting people out on roads that aren't often ridden. And I hope people that come out and enjoy it. I hope it's not so much that people can't look around, because for me that's one of the top reasons is just being in the scenery, and especially when it's new and different. Like you guys are used to your LA, and for me that was, my eyes were kind of popping for being it so different. And you probably feel the same way riding through the old growth redwood that I was just in yesterday. To be in those trees, and I'm like, oh yeah, we do that every week.
Yeah, whatever.
No, this area and Eastern Sierra are by far my 2 most favorite spots. So, and I think like the one part that on this course near the end, when you are riding on Highway 1 going into Jenner, and you're above that, like that, when you hit that point, you know, what almost about mile 400, if you're doing it in daylight. But even at night, it's just like people talk about the Big Sur area a lot, but there's just something about how the layout and you're closer to everything and how it cuts in and out more. That's just such a reward for me to hit that area. And so like doing that, of course you still have Willow Creek to climb, but it should be a pretty good motivating factor that you're almost done. So
yeah, and it's a great place to start and finish. Like reminding me, Zach, to finish down Myers Grade, and then down those turns and come up into Jenner at the mouth of the river with all the harbor seals just hitting there, and there's a good cafe to stop, and then you could roll up Willow Creek to Occidental, and there's lots of good restaurants there. Again, we always talk about as if it's going to be when things are open, but I mean, hopefully it works out that way.
Yeah, I've ridden Myers Grade, but I've never seen Myers Grade.
Oh, really? You've never been down Myers Grade?
No, I've been on it. I've never seen it because the fog.
Oh, really? You haven't had a sunny day? Oh,
not there. I mean that, and that's like another fact. I mean, I think for the most part, most of this course will be protected from the fog. It'll only be a few areas because kind of like once you're a couple miles in, the fog doesn't really roll in, which is a good thing. But you know, it's all about timing and you're predicting where you're going to be at what time. So
yeah, it could be socked, and I would expect some nice temperatures. It depends. We just had we're having some heat, like, you know, it was like 95 here in Sebastopol. So if it were this weekend out at the lake and it's like 100 degrees, it's kind of tough. But you do go definitely in and out of shade, so you won't be just totally exposed for that. So we'll see. It could really shift in a few weeks.
Well, let's leave with smiles on the faces. Talking about bikes is fun. Riding them is mostly fun, except when you're planning on doing it 3 straight days. So, but that's why we do it. The adventure is here. So, anyways.
Easy peasy. Well, Zach, we could follow your dot instead of looking at your Watopia Strava map. Whatever that shit is that you're riding. I was like, what is this? Will you go for a ride? Will you go for a ride, for crying out loud?
So real quickly, to your point, Zach and I were driving up for a ride Sunday, and his mom calls, and the first thing she says, he's got her on speaker. The first thing she says is, "Are you on Zwift?" Before she said hello, she says, "Are you on Zwift?" I thought that was hilarious.
Oh man,
that's when he catches up with the family.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotta get it in when you can, you know.
Always on it.
Yeah, maybe you can have a Megahopper on Zwift or something like that.
Oh my gosh.
Well, you do what you can when you have a family and a job to keep your foot in the door. Now, I respect you, but I'll tease you about it anyways.
Well, with Master.
Yes. Well, Mig, Jace, Vic, thanks for joining. The story's still developing, so definitely follow Mig on Instagram, Grasshopper Adventure Series,
and Jace.
Jace Roams.
Jace Roams.
So
yeah, well, and then Jason, Zach, if you guys get into this and are actually doing it, and you start putting together some data, you could share that with folks in terms of like if you're putting together some proper intel. I know that some writers are doing that, and Zach, so a collective group, sharing intel. Because I'm not. If it were a hopper, I'd be having the pre-ride video, and these are all the things, but it's not. So hopefully, other folks will help inform each other and answer questions.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, great. Well, let me get on my Zwift bike and start training. All right. Thanks for joining. Good night.
Sounds good. Good night.